بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والعصر إن الإنسان لفي خسر إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر. By the time, indeed, mankind is in great loss, except for those who have believed and done righteous deeds, and those who have advised for good deeds and have prevented bad deeds and have advised for patience. صدق الله العظيم. Assalamu alaikum and good afternoon to you all. Today's seminar on European model for developing successful herbal medicinal products will provide you a unique opportunity to learn about the key attributes of quality, regulatory, and efficacy that contributes to developing successful phytopharmaceutical brands for Pakistan and international markets. Our key speaker today is Dr. Rainer Kunz from Germany. Dr. Rainer holds a PhD in chemistry. He has been associated with Finzelberg for the last 19 years as technical expert and area manager for sales of phytopharmaceutical extracts in Europe, Russia, Middle East, and South Asia. He also specializes in the area of premium quality phytopharmaceutical extracts, and his efforts have led to the launch of many successful herbal medicinal brands in Europe and Asia. Dr. Rainer, please.
Thanks so far for the very nice introduction. Just waiting for slices. Okay, great. So thanks a lot once again for the nice invitation to be having here a summit on what my company and my company group did so far with regards to phytopharmaceutical products. So, just to start that, could you bring it to the talk? Could you do it in the presentation mode? Sorry for making you waiting. Okay, good. So first of all, I would like to bring you near a little bit what we are talking about when we are talking about Finzelberg. So you see a lot of different names, and you hear always Finzelberg, Martin Bauer, Nature Network, and that stuff. So let me summarize this. I will try to do this in a few words. Nature Network stands at the end of the day for a group of companies, which you can see here. So it is primarily, we talk about three divisions in our group of companies. So to say one B2B, that's where Finzelberg is certainly linked to, dealing with clients like you. In other words, this is, for example, Martin Bauer, our mother company. This is Finzelberg, the pharmaceutical, so to say, pharmaceutical part of the company, of the group, and an independent laboratory called Phytolab, which is dedicated to everything which is linked to plant material within the medicinal area, sometimes as well in the pharmaceutical and the nutraceutical area. Just have to, is it possible to get a microphone? Okay, I think that's better. So I can see better what's happening here. Okay, just a few words again on the Martin Bauer holding the Nature Network. We are having 3,000 employees worldwide. In the holding, consolidated turnover of about 500 million euros, and we are situated in the eastern part of Germany, in Nuremberg, to be more clear on that. Anyway, my focus will be to talk about Finzelberg, the company where I'm working in. Finzelberg, in fact, was founded more than 100 years before, Finzelberg himself, a co-worker from Sharing, by the way. Our employees, which are in our production site and the other site in Sinzig and Andernach in Germany, 300 people working there, so mid-sized company. We have a product portfolio with approximately 100 different plants, generating finally, so to say, more or less 1,000 different extracts, which you can get from us. Our turnover will exceed this year roughly 70 million euro. And our plans, to give you an idea, well, it will be 100 million within a couple of 2 years. Okay, welcome to Finzelberg again. Just to give you an idea of what we are doing roughly. So 70 to 80% of our portfolio is going to the pharmaceutical industry. So if you would ask who are our primary clients, our priority clients, this is always Glaxo, Sanofi, Bauer. I hope I do not forget anybody who is here. But I would say the major players certainly are also our major clients in the pharmaceutical field. On the other hand, certainly functional ingredients getting more and more place in the different markets worldwide. And we are also facing actually the broad need of those materials and ingredients for those products, especially also due to the fact that they need more and more documentation. When it comes to plant materials, certainly pesticides, contaminants, heavy metals, and all those tricky molecules which certainly disturb our business sometimes. If you would ask me what is Finzelberg standing for, and what most of our clients, with whom we are working since more than 30, 40 years sometimes, they would very often talk about topics like trust, sustainability, at the end of the day about quality. And I think this is the most important topic what I will talk about by today. So finally, at the end of the day, the tricky thing is to create what we name a value creation chain with highest traceability and sustainability for herbal plant material. I will guide you, or I will try to guide you through this supply chain, finally, really starting from the raw material, right from the beginning, up to the finished product, up to the marketing if required. I will give you some examples of very successful products by the end of my speech, certainly. Okay, let's start with the raw material. I mean, if you look on the raw material which we are getting into our company for producing our extracts, I can say that 99% more or less of the raw material which is coming in is produced by our mother company, which is Bauer at the end of the day. Where are the challenges in that field? I mean, you can get a plant is a matrix of is a multi-component system, certainly, and its quality certainly differs very strongly. As you can see from the region where you are harvesting the product, from the year of the harvesting, from the period of harvesting, and from the weather conditions in general. So as a consequence, the material can differ. It must not, but it can differ very strongly year by year in the quality. And this is one major advantage from our mother company, from Bauer, that they are working under strictly controlled conditions, so to say, what we call what we do not call, it is a rule in Europe, which has been established by the European institutes looking after this quality. It's all GACP rules, and Bauer is strictly following those. So each and every material which we are getting into our company, into our extraction vessels, has undergone a strict quality control, and we can be sure about that. And certainly there is an influence also given by the quality already in that case that we are following these GSCP rules. Just to give you an idea on this slide, how quality can differ in some cases. So just to illustrate, on the left side you can see some areas, some so-called drying areas. Before Martin Bauer entered into that business and created a more sustainable and certainly a more proper and clean working place. Same certainly applies for storage of raw materials. On the left side, that's something that you can find very often in the storages. And if you go into one Martin Bauer storage area, you will always find this condition, certainly. That makes a difference finally, GMP and non-GMP. So, to summarize this for the raw materials, so the first step for the production, certainly, this is clearly in the hands of Martin Bauer, and we can say via our computer system and the batch-to-batch control of each material coming in, we are even able to control the material back to the farmer who did, at the end of the day, the harvest. Once again, 99% of the raw material is coming from Martin Bauer. We have a 100% traceability. I think this is one major big point that we can serve with. Next step, certainly, and there comes Filzenberg into the game, is the extract itself. That's what is produced in our facility, certainly once again under controlled GMP conditions, EU GMP conditions. I don't want to bore you now with different extraction types. I can only say that most of the extracts we are producing are still produced using the pharmacopoeia rules of the different countries. So to say, maceration, which is a tea-type extraction, or percolation, which is analogous in the espresso-type extraction. Easy to say. Countercurrent extraction, liquid extraction, and some other adsorption techniques certainly also are done in our company, but this is more for more sophisticated products where we have to enrich polyphenols or things like that. Extraction solvents which we are using, once again, predominantly pharmacopoeia, following mostly European pharmacopoeia rules, but certainly also US pharmacopoeia, British pharmacopoeia, whatever the needs of the different markets are. Perhaps I want to point out that chlorinated substances are not used by us. This is simply forbidden. Extract development, I have only one slice here for you. I could tell you a couple of hours about the development of extracts. I just draw out some very easy example how at the end of the day the choice of the right solvent, for example, determines the quality of the extract. And therefore, for example, it's quite important to get these type of informations on your COA or on the specification, what type of solvent is used. Other topics certainly is the drug extract ratio and contaminants content and things like that. So there are a lot of information which are needed, in fact, in order to determine the right quality. Just here, only one example. It's very easy to say. You start with water as an extraction solvent, very hydrophilic logically, and you end up with CO2 as the most lipophilic one. And you see a completely different pattern in the DC of the inner distribution of the extract itself. And so on the other, so you can see there is a very, very large variability just depending on the solvent of extraction we are using. So the more exact a description of an extract is, the more you can talk about quality, and the less information you get, that's another consequence there. Anyway, all this I have told you now, which is only a short excerpt from what we could tell about our production, is certainly based on the fact that we have since 2005 GMP certificate. In fact, we were the first extraction company worldwide who hold this certificate. And not only that, for example, type of analogous certification in the food field is so-called hazard certification, and thus this we have since 2009. So that reflects once again the fact that we are both in the pharmaceutical and nutraceutical field able to supply material which corresponds to the different requirements of the different markets. Oops. Yeah, and as I told, this is only a small example from the whole certification pattern which we have in the Martin Bauer group. So FDAs, different FDAs, US FDA, Korean, Chinese FDA have been inspecting us, and certainly kosher halal certificates are also available within our structure. So normally my speech would end now because, okay, the final product, the extract, the API, and that's it. So we sold it and that's it. But certainly, once again, if you ask the people really for the benefits you can get buying material with Finselberg, is that it doesn't end once we sold the extract. So we are very well known for our after-sales service. On one hand, on the other hand, the development of the finished formulation as well is very often done with our partners together. I mean, it starts once again at the very beginning, the selection of the herbal drug, the extract or the combination as the active pharmaceutical ingredient is the first step to be done. As we have a portfolio, as I told you, of roughly 1,000 different extracts, the probability that something would fit into your requirement, into your special requirement, is very high. Yeah? Anyway, it is not guaranteed. But you can see at the bottom, on the other hand, we can as well develop, and that's what we very often are doing, we develop together with our clients, exactly following their needs, certainly in discussion with us, what they need, tailor-made extraction. So that's I think that's one of our major strengths. You can see here on this slides 4 really phyto blockbusters, I would call them. I mean, everybody might know Prospan in the meanwhile here in Pakistan, but there are also other big products in that field. For example, Bronchicum from Sanofi, or Life, for example, which is a more German-oriented product. Nevertheless, I can tell you we are selling here roughly 30-40 tons of each extract per year. Or on the other hand, Anti-Stux, which is also a worldwide sold product, also Sanofi, ex-Boehringer, now Sanofi, and we are the exclusive producer for that. What I can say for most of these products, in fact, it happened that at the time being, these companies contacted us in order to establish the product, or in order to improve the product, or somewhere else. On the other hand, within this, certainly the definition of the formulation of the product is quite important. Will it be a solid form, a liquid form? For example, on the right side you can see that we have been developing as well, based on IV. Perhaps for this market this could be an important topic, or an interesting topic. We have been developing a so-called thin film. It's an oral dispersible film. Usually you find this in connection with menthol strips or things like that. And we really succeeded to get a stable formulation with an appropriate dosage of IV. So to say, you get one strip, you get the analog one to 15 drops or whatever. So this as a new application, from my understanding, also could get some market share. I can tell you in Germany, for example, we got now 3 registrations on this very unique formulation, I have to say. And last but not least, on developing on formulation, we are not the specialists in that field. There are a lot of others, I think, which are here as well. CMOs in the different markets which are much more able to develop such topics. And in different countries we have very good experiences with this type of development. Certainly in Germany, but as well in Brazil, for example, we have been founding a company in the meanwhile in order to concentrate on developing of finished formulations. And I think Mohamed from Medix will also have some words on that later on. I do not exaggerate when I say that here in Pakistan we also did the first step in that direction. Yeah, and last but not least, we have to say that quality management is one of the major parts within the development of such products. Yeah. For example, method development. Not necessarily the method which is used for an extract can be applied to finished formulation. But as we have a very large and extensive experience in that field for all of our extracts, usually if there is a problem in the new matrix of the finished product, we can help. Simply due to our experience, we know more or less how to manage, and our QC department is very eager to help in such cases. On the other hand, certainly more specific topics like dissolution tests, genotoxicology, contaminant testing, and all that stuff is getting more and more important, at least for herbal medicinal products. Now, for nutraceuticals, this is still on a development stage, but for our predominant products, we are constantly asked for this type of information, and we certainly can help with that as well. Either with the big knowledge of universities, of institutes, but on the other hand, we can do that job also on our own, means within the Nature Network, means with Vitalab, the company I have been mentioning before. And at the end you can see stability tests also for herbal APIs. This is a prerequisite, and both we and our partner Vitalab, our sister company Vitalab, is able to generate such. So we can do it internally or externally, or sometimes even with our partners in the different countries. So if it comes to this development, certainly we as Finseberg ourselves are playing the dominant role in that field, but Vitalab, I highlighted it here a little bit more, Vitalab would be also an appropriate partner. Just to give a short idea what they are able to offer, you can get reference substances, you can get complete registration files from them. But I mean, if you have let's say a special plan where you want to have more knowledge about, they are also doing simple research on all kinds of plants. Everything which is related to plants can be done by them. And this brings me automatically to a quite important topic in that field. This is the regulatory affairs. I can tell you that we as Winselberg, we have a regulatory affairs department where approximately 20 people are already working in. So this reflects, especially in Germany or in Europe, the extensive need for documentation. And not only for the documentation to register the product, but to keep it in the market, so to say, to do the re-registration. Each and every year new requirements or regulations on contaminants and things like that are popping up, and you need to have the right answers. And also here, with respect to this, I can say that our regulatory affairs department is very used to give this answer quick in order that there is no delay or something like that in registration phases. I don't want to go into detail what CDD means. I think most of you are very familiar with the structure of a CDD file, or a file which is written in the CDD format. Just to show you where our position at the end of the day is for the CDD. At the end, this is the part 3, or the module 3, where we are generating the papers. It is Anyway, what I can tell you as well is that we can offer a complete service. So we can very easy start. We can supply you an extract with a COA and SDS, and that's it. But we can go up to a complete 3-2S file, what we call it, so the quality part of the extract of the API. And if it is needed, we can create a complete dossier. Only the part one, the module one, has to be created by yourself. I don't want to go into detail of the 3-2S part, just reflecting once again the raw material. Certainly I've been talking about as the important point. We can give all the information from Martin Bauer. The manufacture, production, same story from Finzenberg, and then the characterization and the control of the drug substance and of the API. Certainly a very wide field with the methods and all the stuff which is behind the validation of themselves. All this can be done and is done usually at Finzenberg. The reference standards, as a separated point, you can get them from PhytoLab, once again integrated in the Nature Network, packaging certainly, and again the stability can be done either by Finzenberg or by PhytoLab. I don't want to miss to tell you about the possibility once again, if it is required, we have in the different countries partners, or in Germany ourselves, which are able to create the analogous 3-2P part, and then you end up once again with the final dossier ready for registration, so to say. Okay, so now I have told you a lot about Finzenberg, Martin Bauer, the Nature Network. I think most interesting could be to talk a little bit about markets, and here especially about the German market. I mean, we can say that Finzenberg in Germany is by far the #1 supplier for pharmaceutical or medicinal extracts. Looking on the broad field of, let's say, you see food on the left and pharma on the right, so there's a broad gray zone, about the different products which you can, medical devices, cosmeceuticals, nutraceuticals with all different descriptions, whatever. I certainly, once again, want to focus on herbal medicinal products. With their, let's say, with their major advantages, transparent solution for the evaluation of the necessary investment. Sometimes the registration takes a little bit longer, that's true, but on the other hand, you have a long-lasting product, so to say, the long life cycle of the product. That's what we can see and what has been proven, especially in Europe, very strongly. So most of the brands I will show you are more than 30, 40 years old. We are supplying them very constantly. Just some figures to illustrate a little bit the situation where Germany with 1.2 billion turnover for medicinal products is lying. Europe equals for 4 million approximately. But USA, Asia, but USA, you only have nutraceuticals. Very difficult to determine the value, and in Asia and other regions of the world, it's very, very difficult to describe really the size of the markets. The total herbal market, including everything, rates up to or estimated 100 million euro. I mean, those are German herbal pharmacy market facts. I don't want to bore you again with this. The only thing I can say, Germans love phytopharmaceuticals, so it is still the biggest phytopharmaceutical market in Europe, and a lot of the ideas, I think this is the message, the ideas from Germany and Europe have been in the meanwhile transported to the world. That's also quite interesting. I mean, if you look on the distribution of the different indications in the German herbal medicinal market, this is very similar to most of the other markets worldwide. So you have a dominance of the cough and cold area, and well, in that case you have a special distribution. I don't want to go into detail here. Anyway, this is very much similar to other herbal markets, at least to our experience. The interesting thing is, although in 2004, I mean until 2004, all the products had been reimbursed. Yeah? And in 2004 there was a withdrawal of these reimbursement. In the initial state, we certainly had a breakdown, and also our turnover was affected a little bit. But anyway, we can say that quality at the end survives, and in the meanwhile, the total size of the market is better than that. Certainly also a little bit linked to excellent marketing. But anyway, we can say that this market, although it's now not reimbursed any longer, is still a very interesting and good market. And to come here to some, once again here the products I have been mentioning, at least two of them worldwide players, Antistax and Pospan, and two of them more local German topics. Yeah, I want to give you a little bit, perhaps it is an outlook, I don't know so far, but on the cough and cold area and about bestsellers in Germany. And this is not so far away from the bestsellers in France or in other countries in Europe, and if you look on other markets like Brazil, it's also very much similar. Also Brazil is one of the big markets for Finselberg as well. The number one in Germany, although I want to mention it, I think that's fair, is not produced by Finselberg. Our colleagues from Bauer have this excellent product. In fact, it's a mixture, a herbal mixture of different drugs, and it applies for a really giant turnover. So it's a really very efficient product, but okay, that's in that case they did a very good job from Bauer. Another one is, for example, Uncaloabo, which is one, with a very good turnover. It decreased since a couple of years a little bit, but it is still on a very, very high level. It's based on pelargonium root, a plant which is certainly used in the cough and cold area, which has a strong, I can say, clinical backup. It was the originator is Schwabe company, by the way. Anyway, we can offer pelargonium as well, and in the meanwhile, we have been generating quite a couple of different products worldwide based on pelargonium. You can see only on the right side down one of those players, which is from Saudi Arabia. In fact, it was the first product based on pelargonium, which has been registered in Saudi Arabia at the Saudi FDA. And well, on Prospan, I think it's not necessary to talk about. I think Mohammed would like to have a chat on that. And Bronchicum, once again, as the Sanofi product, also worldwide a big success still. And we are quite proud to be one of the suppliers for this product. All those products are quite old. We can say that most of them 30, 40 years old. And you may ask, in that field, is there any new development, or is there still a wide place where we can feel something? And I can tell you, yes, in fact, it's the case. You can either go buy a new application form, like the thin films I have been mentioning, but there are also drugs which are still very interesting. And once again, Sanofi, or the former Boehringer at the time being, 5 years ago they contacted us. I think that's quite a good example to illustrate how we are working. Because at that time, Boehringer asked us, okay, what could we do in that field of cough and cold? Is there still some place? And we thought, and Boehringer at the time as well thought, perhaps something for cough and cold, but in the dry cough area. And all of what you can see on the left are more typical expectorants. So we had a common chat, a common discussion, a project discussion with Boehringer at the time being, and we found out that marshmallow extract, it's Altea root, marshmallow root extract could be something which could be usable. At the end of the day, we have been defining, or Boehringer had been defining the formulation. There had been some issues with the methods, as I told you. This is very common, very normal. We solved those problems together. The product has been done into stability. At the end of the day, the extract at Finselberg, the finished product at Sanofi, at Boehringer at that time being. And a couple of years later, the product has been registered, and now it is in the market since, I would say, 1 year roughly. So, still, the big players are going the way for new herbal medicinal products. I don't know to which extent Sanofi is planning to extend this product in other markets, but we will see. But it's a good example that there are still new drugs, not really new drugs, but drugs available where we can place excellent products on. So looking on what I would call bestsellers and trends at the moment, so Primrose Thyme, which is certainly linked to Bronticum, is, I would say, more or less stable. Ivy is still, not only in Pakistan, a product which is boosting extremely. And in the meanwhile, we have no problems to source the raw material, but in the meantime, we always, so to say, had some stocks. In the meanwhile, we are producing, and the product is sold immediately. Pelargonium is on a stable phase, and as I told you, marshmallow and another plant like Plantagenis lanceolata is very strongly upcoming, especially in Germany. I want to talk in total about two different indication areas. The one was cough and cold, and the other one is calm and sleep. And if you talk about calm and sleep, this does not only cover this region, it's better to talk about CNS at the end of the day. Because what you can see here, on the upper side, two typical, really typical German products, which is Baltriparan and Baltriparan Plus, really big brands. Everybody in Germany knows if you want to sleep in, if you want to calm down, take a Baltriparan. That's very common. And the differentiation between those is also very typical in that field where we can play with the different extracts, or sometimes with the different extraction solvents, in order to determine if we are talking about a more calming activity or more sleep-inducing activity. Third product which you see comes from Bauer, also typical German, very, very interesting product based on St. John's wort, acting as a mild antidepressant. And the other product, which is Kütter, coming from Merck, and another very interesting product from Pasco in Germany. They are typically represents of this play field of the different drugs in this area. Always combination of valerian, St. John's wort, passion flower, melissa, hops. Yeah, that's something I can definitely say. I mean, if you would ask the last 40 years for Finselberg, what is our best product, this is definitely valerian. There have been ups and downs of palmetto, ginseng, whatever, but valerian always was on a very, very stable and constant stage, you can say, and it is still growing. Certainly also due to the fact that we are extending more and more to our export markets. Passion flower as well, same story. Not on the exactly same level, but more or less the same story. St. John's wort, I mean, let's say 15 years before, we faced a lot of problems because of, so said, side effects of St. John's wort. But I can say in the meanwhile, St. John's wort has recovered quite good. Not at the same level as 15, 20 years before, but comparable. And hops and melissa, yeah, they are more adding agents, I would say, for the other main players in that field. I selected some other bestsellers where Finselberg is, I do not exaggerate here, is playing a major and an exclusive role. So on the top you can see, for example, Priorin, a product from Bayer Healthcare, which is a real blockbuster for us. It represents quite a lot of our turnover. It's based on extract, finally. This is one product, or for example, another big product is Granofin, which is more a German product, I would say, based on saw palmetto and pumpkin seed, but as well a very, very big product. And as a last example for these products, where Finzenberg has been, let's say, the co-developer and still is since 20, 30 years the main supplier, or the exclusive supplier, is a product which is called Kuvex. German originated as Merz. It's used for scars treatment, and also here we are playing a dominant role or an exclusive role. And not for all of those products, due to exclusivity arrangement, we can supply those, but for example, for the onion extract, which is used for these topical application, we can certainly provide you, if you are interested, a complete package for a registration as a pharmaceutical, but certainly we can also supply the product without any documentation, depending on the possibilities in the market. In Germany or in India, it is in the market as a pharmaceutical product. In the US, it is a pure nutraceutical, or a cosmeceutical in that case. So other drug bestsellers at the moment are saw palmetto, a product which is used for BPH, benign prostatic hyperplasia. Millet, certainly, I mentioned it on the priorine base, and ginseng certainly have been recovering very strongly in that field. Due to the fact that 3 years ago the prices were extremely high, in the meanwhile they have been falling down again, so we can say that the ginseng market really has recovered. I want to summarize. I try to do it shortly because I see that I'm a little bit over time. What are the prerequisites for high quality and successful pharmaceuticals, phytopharmaceutical? I mean, that's certainly the raw material. Cultivation, control, collection, and documentation of the raw material are certainly of highest importance to guarantee this documentation. The validated production processes are necessary as well, certainly we are also able to do that. And usually herbal medicinal products need a registration under pharmaceutical guidelines. This certainly depends very much on the different markets we are in. What are the advantages of phytopharmaceutical or phytomedicinal products? Registered products are high margin products usually. Registered products offer the advantage of a long life cycle. I have mentioned that already. And registered products are increasing the image of a health product company in the market. Not to forget about that. General trends, the consolidation of the German and worldwide market for herbal products goes on, either in the herbal medicinal field or in the nutraceutical field. But on the long run, only products with good scientific backup and safety reports will survive. This is something which we can see very easily. In Germany, 30 years ago, we had 20,000 different products based on herbals. In the meanwhile, we have 2,500. So you can see a little bit where this type of consolidation leads at the end. And it is also clear, in Europe we can see that, but in Brazil and in other regions with a long herbal tradition, that there are more and more restrictions on health food claims. The tendency goes clearly to what we call regulated or pharmaceutical legislation. So finally, I've ended with my presentation. Once again, I would like to thank you for the invitation to be able to have this speech here. And finally, I want to thank you for your attention. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Rainer, for such enlightenment. Our next speaker is Muhammad Abdul Qayyum, Managing Director and CEO of Laboratories. Abdul Qayyum joined the family business in 1994 after studying biology and chemistry from Luther College in USA. Apart from running his family business, he is an active consultant to World Health Organization, Pakistan's National Institute of Health, and Ministry of Health. Abdul Qayyum also co-authored the first ever comprehensive document on traditional medicine policy and regulatory framework for Pakistan. This project was sponsored by World Health Organization. Thank you. Abdul Qayyum.
Assalamualaikum everyone. Thank you for taking the time out to visit us today and participate. I know that some of you have, all of you have very busy schedules, but you've managed to come here. So hopefully we'll be able to deliver something that hopefully we'll be able to deliver something that you can take home and can contribute to some good business development. So the idea of this presentation was basically we've been talking about this for a long time. There's a lot of friends in pharmaceutical industry. What can be done? What should we do? What product should we launch? What are the areas that we can focus on? So when we were organizing the seminar, we figured let's talk about what has been done in Pakistan, what has been successful, and also learn from the European model. So Rainer already shared with you the successful products in the European market. Definitely that's a good learning experience for us. We can replicate those products here in Pakistan. We can also learn from hits and misses and success stories. So let's move forward with that. And just the terminology. This terminology is very frequently used. I just wanted to give an indication of what it is very briefly. Phytopharmaceuticals more commonly used, or the word the regulators are using it, the industry is using it. So it's an interesting word. It's basically obviously a combination of phyto, which comes from Greek origins, mean basically plant-based, and pharmaceuticals, as you all know. And on the left side, you can see the graph of its usage in the books. From 2000s, it has really picked up and it's being used as terminology. And we'll be talking about herbal medicine products as well. Now, to give you a visual expression, so I am actually a chemist, but I'm not going to get into chemistry. So, no offense. We've shared this frequently. So, basically, what we're used to is something on, is it the screen there? The pharmaceutical. This is how we look at, the regulators look at this industry. We're used to one single peak. And we think that every material contains one single peak. And it's very easy, and it's very simple to replicate, and it's very simple to register. But that's not the case. People like Herbal, who've been struggling with this for, I think now, 20 years, they were talking about these peaks, and nobody even knew in Pakistan, how it can be done. How complicated it becomes. So when you get into phytopharmaceuticals, you're looking at several ingredients. You're not looking at one particular compound, and as you can see, you'll have several peaks. And this is for those who don't know this is an HPLC chromatograph of different plant materials. And in the end, is herbal medicine product, which is a combination of several parts. Now the game changes completely because all of them are important. All those peaks are important. So we often talk about standardized extracts and narrowing it down to a specific compound, but that's only about some 0.3% to 10%, sometimes 20%. Rest of the material we really don't talk about because it's very complex to assess that, and it becomes a challenge. So why am I? By the way, why am I not mentioning nutraceuticals? Because that's from regulatory, quality, marketing. That's a completely different ballgame. So our target audience today is pharmaceutical industry. So I'm going to focus the entire discussion on what pharmaceutical industry can do and which area they should be getting into, based upon my experience and experience of others, that what we have learned, and how some successful models can be replicated. So yeah, what Raf was kind enough to, you can read them, I'm sure, define these different segments of phytopharmaceuticals, herbal medicine product, and what they are. what is interesting is that Grab copy pasted the definition from an Indian SRO of phytopharmaceuticals. And they were kind enough to copy the entire thing, but well, I don't know if they were kind enough. So the original wording talks about quantitative and qualitative assessment. So they, I don't know, it was smart or stupid, whatever. They removed the word qualitatively. So if you were to register a phytopharmaceutical product tomorrow as a phytopharmaceutical, you're a full-blown drug, which means that you would have to comply to quality standards that some of the pharmaceutical companies cannot. So difficult area, I would advise to stay away from that. And you would definitely be subject to price control. So so that's another thing that you want to think about. So anyway, these are definitions you can read. So what's the history? When did we start? Just briefly. So interestingly, Ayurveda has been in this part of the world from 5000 BC. I mean, it's been part of the Indus Valley civilization. So very big, and I don't need to tell you what India has done with Ayurveda. Everyone knows. Now, in Unani medicine became popular during the times of Ghazni kings, Khusro, Malik, son of Khusro Nizam, I think it was in 1160, and in Lahore established the first Unani medicine center. Numan is here. I think I'm quite sure that I have this right at the history. So they were the ones who started the first official treatment center in Lahore in 1160. So that's how long botanical medicine has been practiced, particularly Unani medicine in this part of the world. Mughals definitely, were patronizing Unani medicine. And then Sher Shah Suri did something remarkable. He had a clinic all the way on GD Road at every sarai with a Unani physician treating all the people who were going through that. So very interesting history of this Unani medicine in Pakistan. Who were the key players, or are still the key players in that segment in Pakistan? What you would notice on this slide is that they've been operating for quite a long time. Hashmi Surma, not in its present form, but since 1700. So, if they're market leader in a particular category, they've been doing this for over 200 years. Tayyibi since 1815, and in their domain, they've been quite successful. There's Ajmal Dawakana since 1948, Hamdard Laboratories since 1948, and Karachi since 1968. So, based upon families, family history of traditional medicines, all these people that you see on the slide here were traditional medicine practitioners, and their sons and their families have established very successful business models revolved around their traditions. So that's one big segment of the market in Pakistan. 1980s, let me slow over this. Okay, 1980s saw emergence of ethical marketing. So the first one to do this was Akhlaq Saab. Unfortunately, I don't find a picture of him, but a thorough gentleman. His background was he worked for Albert David in Bangladesh. Moved here, was looking after ADCO's operation, and then he decided to set up this company called Herbal, based upon Bulgarian research on tribalists. There was some very good scientific studies that were available at the time on tribalist effect in increasing sperm count, in motility, and general improving sexual behavior. So the first product they launched was Verona. Herbion was, unfortunately, the family didn't continue the legacy, but fortunately for Nadeem, they sold out, and the company became an instant success. Since then, they started operating in 1996 in CIS countries, and I believe they're operating in 25 countries now globally, and it's one of the best export success models from Pakistan that Nadeem Khalid and his team has created. Medix, on the other end, was started by my father, Tawassum Hussain, with his background at Boots and Mactor Pharmaceuticals, which was sold to the current owners in '83. And inspired by what was happening in India, he launched 2 products, basically Digas and Livergen. So there was some money put into R&D, and we did some animal studies. And Livergen at the time became one of the most prescribed product in its category. Later on, I'll be talking about the sales we were achieving at that, we were doing at that time. It was very successful model. But since then, we've switched to consumer marketing. We are no longer approaching doctors for prescription generation, and there are good reasons, so hopefully I'll be able to explain them. 1990s saw some new players entering the market. Karachi Ethical Division, I don't know how many actually know that Karachi had an ethical marketing division where the products were going, and they were taking the products to the doctors. They had a very aggressive team doing that. Brooks Pharmaceutical launched their herbal pharmaceutical company. Bauer India entered Pakistan, and then Himalaya through Herbal in 2002 entered Pakistan. Bauer continues to exist in this region with personal care products, Waticam, I'm sure everyone is familiar with that, and their Hajmola. Now Hajmola has an interesting story. This is a good learning curve on that. Hajmola was doing very big in sales, about $250 million in 2010. But most of the sales were coming from sales of Hajmola sachets, priced at ₹1. Okay. The bottles weren't exactly contributing that much in that $250 million. But I'm sure all of you know, to sell a product priced at ₹1 is practically impossible in Pakistan, unless you're doing it for charity. So they had to revise the price, and they revised the price. So you can't have incremental, ₹1 10 paisa, ₹1 50 paisa. You have to go from 1 to 2. So they went 1 to 2. Within a month, 80% of the sale dropped. The reason being, the biggest consumer was children. They were using it like candies, and they were buying it, so whatever they can get for ₹1. So since Hajmola was no longer available for ₹1, they weren't willing to buy some for ₹2. And so Hajmola suffered a lot, and they're still struggling. The sachet keeps coming back, the prices keeps coming back, and later on I'll talk about why it is important to keep certain factors in mind, because it's just not profitable enough. Himalaya is doing very well. We'll discuss one of their products in a short while. They're working both in the prescription segment, and personal care segment. Their product Live 52 and Bonisan is doing quite well in Pakistan. And we'll have the numbers later on. And those 2 companies, Karachi and Brooks, are no longer operating. Different reasons. Obviously, it's a difficult proposition to be a fully dedicated herbal medicine product company and be able to generate prescription. First of all, you don't have the clinical data to support, which doctors are looking for. Secondly, you're talking about ingredients that the doctors are simply not familiar with. So you're talking to them in a language they don't understand, and it's going to be challenging. So and that's what happened. That happened with us. That happened with Karachi's Ethical Division. That happened with the Brooks Ethical Pharmaceutical Division. So what was the game changer in Pakistan? I remember having this conversation with Insar in 1996, 1997. He said, in few months or few years, we will, he said few months, we will launch one of the biggest herbal products segment in Pakistan. Well, it took them a few years. In 2002, they launched Herbal in Pakistan, Himalaya in Pakistan. So very aggressive. He was thinking about this long before people, realized that there's a potential and growth can be achieved in this area. Now, Dr. Koff was a game changer, at least for us, for Hilton, and for Finzelberg, because it's the predecessor to the entire IV market. In 2010, they were selling this product for 150 rupees. And then they launched many other products. So the first pharmaceutical company to boldly go use the Star Trek's, terminology, go somewhere, somewhere where no one has gone before was actually Highmont, and they continue to do that with their product launches. So, the I Believe story. What happened? How did this came about? When was this launched and why was this launched? So, I don't think we've ever publicly shared this. It's worth learning what happened and why it became so successful. So currently, it's a 415 million market according to IMS in 2016. And I have a feeling, looking at the figures that I've been looking at for herbal products in IMS is struggling to cover the entire market segment. So, this is probably underreported size of the market. Who are the key players in this market? Kofer has 42% of the market share. Prospan has about 20% of the market share. Croft by HiQ has 9% of the market share, which is very interesting. Hylexia from Searle has about 7% of the market share. And Olka by Getz has about 6% market share. And Pulmonet by CCL, they were again, they were the first one. Dr. Gaddafi is sitting here, so this gentleman was the first one to realize the potential of these kind of products and jump on and contact us and said, like, how fast can we do this? And the formulation, which is actually developed by Gaddafi, was his idea, is probably one of the best formulations for cough in the market with combination of Haluta Vesica and IVD. And that's a phenomenal combination. You have anti-tussive properties and you have an expectorant, so that combination works brilliantly. And obviously they have a good market share. So initially in 2009, I told Shahid, let's launch a cough syrup because I've been talking to Finselberg and we have this ingredient called I Believe, and there's a product called Prospan, globally very successful. Let's launch the same formulation in Pakistan, and we have the originator's source of API, and we can practically do the same product manufactured in Pakistan and bring down the price. He's like, how much are we going to sell it for? Like 75 rupees, 75 rupees ka bechenge. He's like, are you nuts? 25 rupees. The price of cough syrups at the time was 25 rupees. Like 3 times the brand leader, 3 times, and we're going to launch a product 3 times the price of brand leader. That's never going to happen. Let's not do this. So obviously, the discussion stopped and we didn't talk about it for a little while. Till Herbal came in the market and launched Dr. Cough and was selling for 150 rupees. And when we saw that, we were like, oh, if they can sell it for 150 rupees, why can't we do this? So said, all right. So the gentleman is sitting here who's actually responsible, Saf, for the successful launch of Herbal in Pakistan and first pharmaceutical product, worked very hard on this project, and the way he developed the whole launching strategy was absolutely brilliant. And so hats off to Saf for doing this. So it was launched in 2011 for 150 rupees, which previously thought wasn't possible. The goal was to generate prescription, and it was widely acceptable. I mean, their entire team, I believe that the entire team worked on it, everybody, and we were talking, Shahid and I were talking about it. This is interesting. Team's acceptability is critical in product successful launches. If your team is not with it, if your team is not buying the product themselves, to generate prescription is going to be a major challenge. How the team adopted the product, how they rallied behind it, is the reason why Kofer is doing about 180 million now in total sales. And this is one of the only markets in the world where the brand leader followed a generic formulation. So Prospan came in 2013. So there are, as of a couple of months ago, we counted there are about 31 products in the market in 4 years. What worked, and why was it important, and why is it important to share this story? So what worked was, we were looking from our experience of selling herbal products, we knew when we have a list of 10 ingredients on that pack, doctors get confused. They don't understand a single word what you're talking about. Your team doesn't understand what you're talking about, because nobody has actually studied herbal medicine as a subject. And I don't even, well, there is a subject now. So you're looking for a single ingredient, you're looking for premium quality, which delivers on its promise. You're looking for traceability. So the discussion took place, do we really need to run an HPLC analysis on herbal medicine product? I said yes, for trust. Between a contract manufacturer and a marketeer, yes, that is important. For tomorrow, if you want to find out whether we're actually putting that ingredient in the formulation, there is no way unless you have the technical support to trace it and test it and be able to quantify it and ascertain that the product actually contains the ingredient. So, that was important. Sure, we have a good relationship, we have a lot of trust, but it's business. It has to be mathematical, it should be provable, it should be countable. You don't need to just blindly follow that just because Qayyums are the same, so it's true. And the other thing that we looked at was the HPMC monograph. There was, we'll discuss these monographs later on, but European Union has these wonderful monographs where the traditional products have been evaluated. So HPMC, HMPC monograph was had categorized, I believe, as a well-established use for as an expectorant. And so, that's a big, bold claim to go in a doctor's clinic and be able to go and say, look, this has been approved by European Union for this particular indication. And we have the same ingredient which the brand leader is using. And obviously, white space. What was the white space in this area? For children below 6 years of age, medically, no cough syrup is recommended. You're not supposed to give children below 6 years of age any conventional pharmaceutical cough syrups. This was the only product which has been clinically tested in children less than 1 year of age. So, clinical data on very young children, and that was the white space, and that has worked brilliantly. Continues. And another thing that I want to point out, so about 6-7 products in the market, and I'm not selling this. I'm just trying to tell you this. You can go, do this from anyone. I'm not, I'm the last person that I am is a salesman. What I'm trying to tell you is that certain aspects matter. So among all the products that you see on that small pie in the corner, all the extract, all the active ingredients are provided by Kunz. The reason I'm mentioning this is so there are lots of other sources in the market, but somehow they're not visible in this pie, and there's a reason. Quality matters. If you have a single ingredient formulation, you want to be absolutely sure that it delivers on a promise that you're promising, what you're charging for. If it doesn't do that, you will not gain the sale momentum that will put you on the top. So that was a success story. Now this is something I get so many times, it's not even funny. I'm sure you're smiling because you love this story. So don't you know the people, Farhan is sitting here. Yes, so this is the most frequent thing. We must launch this forward. Sure, why not? Let's do that. How many products do you think there are in the market? It's just a flooded market. And can you really find a niche? Can you really find a space in that segment by launching just another Spavol, Me Too, without any value addition? And would people be willing to pay for it? So the important lesson here is, remember Ben Fiber? Was launched in Pakistan. It still exists globally, but it had some challenges. It's been pulled out of the market. Wheat dextrin. First, the problem was National Advertising Review Board. Now, Procter & Gamble challenged their claim in the United States that it helps maintain regularity. And eventually, National Accountability Review Board ended up making a decision, making a recommendation that the claim to help maintain regularity cannot be advertised because there's not enough scientific data. After that, EFSA, European Food and Safety Authority, posted their report, which claims that blood pressure, triglycerides, cholesterol, bowel functions, health claims are not supported by enough scientific evidence. So you have a product competing with Very economical. Is Herbal in Pakistan, do you think is going to be able to compete at that price point, especially when the science is not supporting it? Obviously, the product is not in the market. Then Pfizer, and no offense, I just want to use this. If somebody is here from Pfizer, I don't mean to, offend anybody. But what I'm trying to point out is that, Fiber 7 was launched by Pfizer with a very heavy media campaign. Where is the product now? Is it still in the market? I know it's on the shelf. The contract manufacturer who made it, Axon, I don't know if he's sitting here, it's on their shelf. But is it on the retailer's shelf? It's not on the retailer's shelf. For very profound reasons. Can you compete at that price point? What's your positioning? What's your differentiation? Just slapping on Pfizer's logo does not mean the quality standard is all of a sudden gone off the roof. What about, most importantly, that every finance manager asks, what is the profit margin? Show me the money. So there is an important concept that needs to be considered, which is the world's greatest idea. I'm quite sure Einstein didn't say that. I'm quite sure, I'm not even sure who said this, but this is the banker's mantra. As far as I'm concerned, this was, what's his name, Munaf Lagda from Muller and Fair, mentioned in one of our first few meetings that we had for distribution with them. And I've taken this very seriously. End of the day, it matters. If the profit, you all know that. The senior management, everyone knows that. If the profit is not there, it doesn't matter, sale will come. But are you going to be able to sustain this? And this is exactly what happens with every whole product that gets launched in Pakistan. You launch it, you get sales. You start advertising for it. And all of a sudden you realize the raw material prices are constantly going up. We can't, our profit margins are going down, and we're just not making enough money. So is it even worth trying to do that? In my opinion, it doesn't really work. So I guess, but definitely, as a nation, we love Expo. But who do you think is fulfilling that demand and love affair? Only two companies. Maraba and Karachi, they're doing it, and they're doing it brilliantly. They somehow have discovered the golden ratio of purchasing the raw material at the right price, selling it at the right price, and advertising, and yet making money out of it. But if you can figure out that golden ratio and operate in that sphere, fair enough. But are you willing to spend that kind of money? Now, core market, Joshanda, another one. So luckily we don't get this request often enough because it just takes forever to explain this. It's not worth it. Karashi's Johar Joshanda is definitely the biggest seller in its category and perhaps biggest selling core product in Pakistan. Unfortunately, IMS fails to cover it. So nobody really knows unless you go and ask Iqbal Karachi, what's the sale? There is no other way of knowing it. I've done that, but I'm not going to share it. It is Karachi's flagship product. So Time magazine in 2008 declared Karachi's Johar Joshanda as best of Asia. They selected 15 different things from Asia, and Karachi Johar Joshanda, that speaks volumes about what the product does and what it delivers on its promise. And all those claims that it contains steroids, I would suggest that you do a little research on stability of steroids in liquid formulations and the cost of steroids and whether they actually work for cold. And you would get your answer that why it doesn't contain steroids. So who tried to enter this market? Interestingly, the brand leader from this Bauer market decided to enter this market, Hashmi Joshanda. Very heavy advertisement campaign. They ran for a while, but Hashmi's brilliance is that they can create a very strong pull effect. They can create such a powerful media blitz that they don't need a distribution network or a sales network, and wholesalers and random distributors are willing to buy that product, stock it, and supply it, and you will see it available across Pakistan in every nook and corner of the country. But in this case, they weren't able to do that. And they kept on advertising. And we had this conversation once. It was like, really, if you have that kind of money, we would like to take some of it and do something for you. But please don't, stop distributing it around for no reason. So obviously the challenge was, what were you bringing to the market which was different from Karashi's George Shada? Do you have the advertising muscle? Can you compete with them? Would you put your entire energies behind this product? They would, because for them it's a flagship product. For you it may not be. So what was the differentiation? Again, what was the profit margin? And so there was, interestingly, a very small product was launched in Pakistan, which did very well. It was ready-to-drink sachet, liquid formulation of Joshanda in a sachet form. So like you get the children's candies and chocolates, you open the sachet and you drink it. So it was like in pounds. And that picked up a significant share after its launch. They didn't have an advertising campaign, they just had a small distribution network. Unfortunately, the company was too small and they couldn't sustain the business model, and they ended up closing down. But somebody did a brilliant job and the product was picking up in the market, but it wasn't replicated. So now this is interesting. We get this a lot also. Can we do this? So how many of you can actually tell me what's the difference between these products? Does anyone dare to tell me what's the difference? Or would like to, please? Anyone? No? What's the difference? Let's see. Huh? 150 years, definitely. 150 years. Can you compete with 150 years of history? Interestingly, so what is, I can tell you what's common.
Basically, dry water is a homeopathic product. It was originally defined as a...
Sir, आप तो यही कहेंगे आप. I'm sorry.
Basically, it was dry water.
I see where that is coming from. Yes, but Woodward's dry water contains dill oil. Himalayas, Bonisan contains dill oil. So they should be dry waters. They're both dry waters. And Hamda's dry water contains fennel. Fennel oil as an active ingredient along with sodium bicarbonate, slightly different formulation. Hamdaz is selling it at rupees. Woodward is selling it at 60 rupees. Himalaya is selling it at 195. And they're selling it. How are they able to do this? It's the same thing. It contains essentially the same ingredient. If Himalaya was to go register this product, they would register it on the basis of dill oil only. Forget about the rest of the ingredients on the label. I'm telling you, if they register a product, they will register this on the basis of dill oil only. And this is the most unreported and underreported segment. IMS doesn't cover that. IMS covers Woodward and claims that it has sales of 139 million. No, it has sales of 9 million. Gry Potter has sales of about 6 billion Pak rupees. How do I know that? Well, so this number, the Gry Potter sales, Hamdard sales coming directly from Hamdard, in terms of number of bottles they produce per year, and you can extrapolate the sale of Woodward from there. So the market is actually 1.7 billion. It's quite big. What is Karachi in all this? Karachi did launch a Naubahar Gry Potter, again heavy media blitz, but they didn't last for long. I think it was only last year, 2015, 2016 they launched it. You hardly see it on the shelf. I kept looking for it because I wanted to take a picture of the product, and I kept asking the retailers and nobody stocks it anymore. So it's just not there. Apparently it bombed. It didn't work for Karachi. So how come something that didn't work for Karachi, it didn't work for Pharmatech, it didn't work for so many other companies, how is it working for Himalaya? And they're still generating 55 million in sales. So according to IMS, I'm sure it's still underreported. The difference? Entirely different position. They're not even claiming themselves to be Gry Potter. It's a prescription product supported by clinical trials in India, done in 70s and 80s. They have a long list of clinical trials that they've conducted on this particular product on Bonisan, and they claim that it improves digestive health of growing children. Very simple claim. a very profound claim, supported by science, and they're able to manage prescription sales. And doctors, I have heard doctors saying this, I don't entirely understand this, but there is science and the product actually works. So the question is not the products don't work, it's just the positioning and how they managed to capture a niche in the market. So whatever happened to our case in terms of leveraging and what happened to Aurora when we started ethical marketing, when we launched the product back in 1990, I joined the company in 1994, and I believe at that time we were selling 50,000 packs per month. It was the most prescribed hepatoprotective and we were very clear at the time that we're only targeting hepatitis A. That's the only indication, and we're talking about reducing the recovery time. We're not talking about hepatitis B and hepatitis C. You can't make that claim. And we had some small studies done in PCSIR. My father did that, and so we were doing relatively good. It became our flagship product, but since then, it has declined to 50,000 units per year. So significant drop in sales. We've had our share of problems from counterfeiting to many others. I'm just not going to get into that. But anyways, the market dynamics have definitely changed. The entire hepatoprotective market has gone through a change. But the product still contributes to our profit margins, and we tend to make money out of it, so it keeps us happy, regardless of the drop in sales. Now, Verona continues to be a prescription product, still prescribed today, still a success model. It's still supported by clinical trials, and Herbal has invested more into clinical research of this product. So it's not just a success model in Pakistan, it's a success model in international market, especially in CIS countries. And continues to be, am I right? It continues to be a cash cow for the company. Yeah, sure. So thank you. What worked for us was our product, Angascolic drops. Very simple formulation. Again, very simple formulation. Fennel, mint, ginger, nothing much. And doctors can understand that. They can relate to these common ingredients. So it was a prescription product, till all the way till 2010. The sales. This is the only product that has kept us afloat. We would have gone down, we would have gone under long before if it wasn't for this product. The sales continued to grow. It was profitable, attractive enough for us, and it continued to survive. And we've gone through steady growth. There's limited competition in that category also. And as of 2010, we stopped prescription generation because we simply couldn't afford it. We had a choice to close down the company or continue to work the way that we've been working. So we had to stop. But there was enough word of mouth sales for this product that it continued to survive in the market. We started a very small budget TV campaign. When we mentioned the amount of money to our advertising agency, they thought we were joking. Literally, and that's 4 million is all the only money we have. So it has gone. Growth has been going up, and obviously sales have been going up. We're selling a little over 2 million units as of 2016. You can do the maths. It's about 80 rupees right now, so you can figure out how much the value we're generating through this. So throughout all this, in my years in this industry, what has been my learning curve? You go through this. I mean, I've constantly, I think I understand this, but most of the time I realize I really don't know anything. So it's been a constant learning experience. I'm going to share my learning insights with you, and hopefully when you're developing your next product, you would be able to take that into account and benefit from that. So the market segment of phytopharmaceuticals, herbal products in Pakistan, loosely can be divided into these categories: traditional Unani products, herbal medicinal products, phytopharma, homeopathic medicines, home remedies, dietary supplements. If you want to go further out, then you definitely have the personal care market, amla, oil, in the what do you call that? The coconut oil. I mean, all these are also herbal products. So if you get into that category, then that's so. But talking to pharmaceutical industry and prescription, what is important are the only two segments for you as far as my personal opinion is concerned, which is herbal medicine products or pharmaceuticals. According to a report by Euromonitor, this is important insight to take home. As far as the market dynamics are concerned, the market will continue to grow on the basis of expert advice, and it will be pivotal in consumer purchasing decisions. That means, prescription model is still a successful model, and it will work for you, provided that you have the right product mix and have the right dosage. If you were to follow, this is a famous Harvard Business Review, this article published in Harvard Business Review in 2012. It's a famous model, the innovation ambition matrix. How you guys already know this. So in my opinion, what's the area where pharmaceutical industry can definitely play? As far as I'm concerned, it's right next to them. That is the prescription market. You're already in the doctor's clinic. You're already selling. What didn't work for us, worked for Hilton. What didn't work for us, worked for Pharmaceutical. What didn't work for Herbal, worked for somebody else. That as an exclusive herbal product manufacturer, the doctors weren't taking you seriously. But when the pharmaceutical companies started talking about those products, they started taking them seriously. And by taking them seriously, they started prescribing it and sales. So that's a good area to get into. A lot of companies want to be transformational. They want to get into the consumer brands immediately. Sure, do that. Luckily, those friends are not here. Otherwise, they would not be happy. So, sure, do that. But you have the mental. You should think about this. My personal opinion is, scientifically proven, scientifically and traditionally proven. I mean, there has to be a history and background of those ingredients. Quality matters. Premium quality herbal medicinal products or phytopharmaceutical are the area the pharmaceutical industry can definitely play in and drive growth for the companies. A simple starting point is I mentioned the HMPC monographs. European Union evaluates different medicinal products and ingredients and publish these monographs. You can go online and look for them. Basically, I just want to tell you the well-established use, which is based upon scientific literature, bibliographical references, and history of use, which, well-established use means that, it has recognized efficacy and acceptable level of safety. So it's assigned, and there's a list of well-established use products. That's a very good starting point. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. Look into that. Peak matters, yes. So regardless of, I can argue both ways. But the peak matters. You should be able to identify your raw material uncharacteristically. There should be no ambiguities. Whoever is selling you the raw material should be able to support you with that. Either free of cost or by charging money. It depends, what you're asking for. But at the end of the day, it matters because you want to know, because remember, you're pharmaceutical industry, you're used to one peak. So this is important for you. But in reality, this is what's going to happen. And this is, reality is always going to be complex. You will have multiple peaks. And so you need somebody who can tell you which one matters, which will put you through the regulators, which will ensure that your consumers continue to get the consistent quality that you have promised, that you're charging for. If you're charging 150, 200, 300, whatever your price point is, if you're charging somebody for that price point, you should be able to deliver a material or formulate your products with a material that delivers on its process from batch to batch, from year to year. Every year it does that. So that's very important. Again, this remains the world's greatest idea. So you should consider that. I'll stay away from this for whole my humble opinion. So I've been often asked, how big is this market? What's the size of herbal medicine product market. So there are three sources. There's a Euromonitor report, there's IMS, and there's Nadeem Khalid and I. Guess what's the most reliable source? I hate to tell you this, Nadeem Khalid and I. We go through this discussion every few months or every few years. What do you think the market size is? So we take our sales and we ask few friends what their sales are, and we extrapolate the figures, and we come up with a number. And so our recent number as of yesterday is somewhere between 50 to 100 billion, depending on what you include and exclude in that segment. But definitely at the lowest level, it's 50 billion rupees right now. And the last message is very simple. A lesson while I've been doing research on Unani medicines and my presentations and their history is something very fascinating. The history of Unani medicine has focused on these three basic elements. They've been patient-centric in terms of treatment, in terms of what they offer. They are spiritually driven. And they believe in this concept of Khairun Nas and Qawmin Nas. Best amongst you is the one who benefits mankind the most. And I can tell you, I can just take one name. Hakim Saeed is an example of that embodiment. What Hamdard has done, they have their turnover in terms of contributing towards the society at large. I don't think that any other company has been able to replicate that model. So that's a very important take-home message from this industry segment, that if we focus on these elements, we will be able to launch successful products. So thank you very much for your time.